Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, welcome to the new semester. Inshallah, the first week went well. Inshallah, it continues to be a good semester, and all the classes are easy. And one of all, jazakallah khair for coming to the event. And alhamdulillah, it really is. It shows a lot when you take the time to go and come and learn more about the Qur'an. And alhamdulillah, it's something that we should all do more often. Me first and foremost is to, on our own time, when we read the Qur'an, not just reading it, but also understanding it. That's the whole point of the Qur'an inspiration, is you read the Qur'an and understand it. And if this is your first time coming to a Qur'an inspiration, how we usually do it is that I read the ayat first, and then the literal translation of the ayat, and then over like its implication on our lives, applying it to us, inshallah. So, today's surah is going to be Surah Al-Layl, and inshallah I'll get started by reading the ayat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والليل إذا يغشى والنهار إذا تجلى وما خلق الذكر والأنثى إن سعيكم لشتى فأما من أعطى واتقى وصدق بالحسنى فسنيسره لليسرى وأما من بخل واستغنى وكذب بالحسنى فسنيسره للعسرى وما يغني عنه ماله إذا تردى إن علينا للهدى وإن لنا للآخرة والأولى فأنذرتكم نارا تلظى لا يصلاها إلا الأشقى الذي كذب وتولى وسيجنبها الأتقى الذي يؤتي ماله يتزكى وما لأحد عنده من نعمة تجزى إلا ابتغاء وجه ربه الأعلى ولسوف يرضى صدق الله العظيم. So, Surah Al-Layl is 21 ayat, so bear with me. It's usually longer than the short surahs that we go, but I'll go over the literal translation of it. And what we'll do a little different is that since it's a longer surah, I'll go over like the first couple ayat, the little translation, and then its implication, and then continue as is for the rest of the surah. So, the first 4 ayat, they start off by saying, by the night when she lets fall her darkness, by the day in full splendor, by him who created the male and the female, surely your endeavors have divergent ends. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like in many other surahs, He swears by the signs that we see around us. He first starts talking about the sky, when it becomes light and dark. Where it used to be, there used to be light, and then it became dark. Daytime and nighttime. And then He swears again by that full splendor, that full light and darkness, in that light that comes in after. And then after it says, He goes and says, it talks about the male and the female. And there's a reason why actually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He chose to swear these, He swore by what? 2 opposite things, right? 2 divergent type of things. Night and daytime. Male and female. 2 different, 2 pairs, if that makes sense. A pair. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues in the next ayah and says, surely your endeavors have divergent ends. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, hey, there's divergent ends. But what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mean by that divergent ends? He's trying to build up this duality type of thing. That there's a destiny, there's 2 paths you can take. In the next ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, as for him who gives and is God-fearing. He's trying to describe these 2 divergent ends, these 2 paths you can take. As for him who gives and is God-fearing and believes in the truth of the ultimate good, we shall smooth the way to perfect ease. And he continues after that and says, but as for him who is a miser and deems himself self-sufficient and rejects the truth of the ultimate good, we shall smooth the way to affliction. What will his wealth avail him when he goes down to his grave? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we'll bring it back again, though, and he brings up the ayat, the signs we see around us of day and night, two opposite things. He brings up male and female, two kind of like opposite pairs. He's associating pairs, and that's kind of like the beauty of the Qur'an. Pairs, 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 and then he introduces the next concept about Iman, a fundamental concept about what? Day of Judgment. About where are we heading to, which is another pair of divergent ends, which is all what we all know is what? Jannah and Jahannam. That's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought it up in the surah. That's one of the blessings, the miracles of the Qur'an. That's why the shu'ara, the poets, back during the time of Quraysh, that were the best in Arabic language, they were so amazed by this method. Who would think that to bring up Jannah and Jahannam, to bring up these two different paths, I should bring up and talk about the night and the day. Then I should talk about the male and the female. Who would think that way? But he's bringing it, and he's swearing by it, things that we see clearly with our own eyes. And then he describes these two divergent ends. And he says that for the people that are God-fearing, and they believe in the truth of the ultimate good, and believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will have what? Perfect ease. That's one path. The other path is for the miser who deems himself self-sufficient. And when you deem yourself self-sufficient means what? You don't believe that there's a God that provides for me. And then rejects the truth of the ultimate good, rejects Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rejects Islam. We shall smooth the way to affliction. It'll be easy for him, not for good, for wrong. It'll be easy. He's taking himself in that wrong divergent path. But what, and it continues and says, what will his wealth avail him when he goes down to his grave? Throughout his life, he took that other path, accumulated all these wealth, whether that be money or family or honor or prestige or strength, whatever it may be. Built it up, built it up, built it up. But is he able to take that with him in his grave? Was that his wealth speak for him on the Day of Judgment? Allah is posing a question. Because again, the Qur'an is aimed for you to make you think. Especially during when the surah was revealed, it's making the people in Quraysh, the people, the kuffar, listen and hear, think about it, to contemplate on their life. The money that I'm working so hard for, the cheating on the scales that I'm doing so much, is that really going to take me? Is that going to be, carry me in the Day of Judgment when I'm held accountable in the grave? Does that really hold that much importance? He's making us think. And then I want to kind of stop here for a bit, just for a little second before we continue the ayat. Because here I'm making it seem as if there's very two clear paths, right? Jannah and Jahannam. And Allah Ta'ala means to show it that's Jannah and Jahannam. But what do we see? We see a person can be following the straight path, but he tends to wave right and left, right? Mistake here, mistake there. Misguided this direction, misguided that other direction. But our goal is that we want to stick to that straight path. We have a reference point. And that reference point is the Qur'an, is what we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is Islam. So we have a straight line that we can gauge our actions based upon. And my question to pose all for you is that if we didn't have Islam to make that straight line for us, what would be our reference? What would we use our reference to decide what is right and wrong? If we didn't have Islam, most likely it would be what? Our nafs, or the society that we live in, or the rules that we have around us that decide what's right and wrong, right? And unfortunately, that's what we see a lot, is that our reference more likely is becoming that desire. Our reference is becoming our own thoughts. Our reference is becoming what we see around us in society. But we already have a straight, unwavering path. That's how rules should be. If a rule constantly changes, right and wrong, that's not really considered justice at that point. If we have justice that is clear on what's right and what's wrong, and we always refer back to it. I'm not saying there's no way we're going to be able to stick to it 100%. But that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafur Rahim, He's the most merciful. And that's why there are two clear paths, either Jannah or Jahannam. And there's a reference to both. And if you follow the reference of Islam, you will enter Jannah. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, what? In the beginning, in ayah number 4, surely your endeavors, your actions in your life have divergent ends. And continuing on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in ayah 12 and 13, it is for us to give guidance, and ours is the life to come in the first life. So, in regards to this ayat, it's talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that gives guidance. He's the one, again, talking about that reference point. He's the one that told you what's right and wrong. Imagine this. I gave this example before once, but you're in a class, and you started the semester, the professor tells you, hey, we have no homework, there's no tests, there's nothing, and you're basically, you can do what you want, but there's only attendance. That's what I want you to do. So you're living your life. You know that there is a professor, there is a class that I'm attending, whatever it may be. But then at the end of the semester, he comes and says, hey, actually, there were tests, there were homework assignments. I didn't tell you about it, actually, and you're all going to fail the class. Is that fair? No. He didn't tell us the rules. He didn't tell us what we need to follow. He wasn't fair with us. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, guess what He did? He gave us the Qur'an and messengers. That did what? That showed us, here's what you need to follow. He didn't leave us blinded. He gave us that guidance. Here's a reference that you follow. If we didn't have a reference, it wouldn't be fair for us. But He gave us that reference. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us that reference. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues in ayah 14. He says, I warn you, therefore, of the raging fire, which none shall have to endure but the most hapless wretch, who denies the truth and turns away. Kept away from it will be him who is God-fearing. And then continues, who gives away his money to purify himself, not in recompense of any favors done him by anyone, but only out of longing for the countenance of his Lord the Most High, he shall indeed be well pleased. And that's the end of the surah. Allah Ta'ala now hits again on the divergent ends, Jannah and Jahannam. And He warns you about the raging fire that will have to endure the most hopeless and wicked people. And He'll be asking, are there more? Are there more? And this person, who are they that's going to be entering there? Who denies the truth and turns away. Building that one big ending. But then Allah says, kept away from this horrible ending is the one who is God-fearing, who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and gives his money to purify himself. And then in the next one is kind of important because it says, not in recompense of any favors done to him by anyone. It hits on another concept of your intentions being the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not to show off, not to say, hey, this person is generous, or this person, mashallah, he knows a lot of knowledge, or this person does. No, you're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then ayah can build on that and says, but only out of longing for the countenance of his Lord the Most High. His intentions are for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? He talks about himself. He, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shall indeed be well pleased. And that's the end of the surah. It's 21 ayat that we read a lot, that we hear a lot, but I hit on so many different topics. One is you pondering about Allah's creation. When He talked about the night and the day, man and female, right? And then He talks about the two divergent ends, the two endings that you can have. And then talks about what do those divergent ends, what characteristics do they hold? Making that reference for us. He says what? I gave you this reference so that you be guided. And it's up to you whether you take it or not. And then after that, continues on and says, here's more information about what? That one of these endings was Jahannam, and how do you stay away from it? And then also talking about intention, making it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A lot of different points, and I'm going to say this every single time, but I am not doing justice to this topic, to the surah at all whatsoever. And genuinely, each surah that we read Qur'an inspiration, that should be at least 2, 3, 4 sessions on their own. Each one being about 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour as well. Especially with Surah Al-Fatiha, there's lectures that go on for 10, 15 hours that talk specifically all the learnings that you can learn. That's why Surah Al-Fatiha, it was known as, like, genuinely that could have been enough for mankind. The scholars say Surah Al-Fatiha alone could have been enough for mankind. So I strongly urge that one, not just coming to session, mashallah, jazakallah khair, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless everyone that came here, but also taking the time out of our own days to go and read and understand the ayat that we're reading. And don't just take it from me, take it from outside as well. Go look, understand, read the books that talk about tafsir and putting it in our lives and how to understand it. Because mashallah, they might know a lot more than me, mashallah. Much, much more. I'm giving this like the tip of the iceberg about it. And inshallah, that we all benefit from it, me first and foremost. And inshallah, we'll go into question and answers. Does anyone have any questions, comments?